Laura from University of Pennsylvania Press requested to go first so she could go pick up children. And all of us here at SSCPL love children. I think all of us everywhere in every division love children. So Laura, take it away, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Laura Waldron at University of Pennsylvania Press, and our offices are on the Penn campus in Philadelphia, where I hear everyone's going to be next year. So hang on a second. Let me pull up. I have a PowerPoint. Want to make sure that you can all see it. Hang on a sec. Okay. So, can you all see this?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we're published at Penn, and we do primarily humanities and social sciences. We have a lot of lists that dovetail with Jewish history, culture. We have particular strengths in medieval history, in human rights, international law. So I'm going to tell you about 3 new books and 3 backlist books. My contact information is on our special AJL site, so please let me know if you have any questions or calls for further information. So I'll start with the new titles. This one, Prague and Beyond, presents a new and accessible history of the Jews of the Bohemian lands. It's written by an international team of scholars in a narrative style, and it focuses on several unifying themes across the periods. So their migration and mobility, social networks, religious life and education, Jewish autonomy, gender in the family, popular culture. So it brings a new understanding to the Jewish culture of Central Europe. The next one, this book, which is a translation from German, it was a bestseller in its original German. It's an illustrated history, and it's an encyclopedic history of the Jewish body as it has existed, how it's been imagined from biblical times, and how the culture has understood the body. So the author takes a look at techniques for caring for the body, how parents and authority figures tell children and those who they have shared households with how to see their bodies, how that's changed over the course of a 2,000-year-old history, takes a look at very traditional body stereotypes, takes a look at gender, takes a look at marriage, sickness, health, what happens to the body at death. So it looks very much at a lot of historical foundations as well as contemporary culture. This next book is a biography of Rabbi Leo Baeck. So he's best known today as the founder of the Leo Baeck Institutes, of course, in New York, London, Berlin, Jerusalem. He served as a chaplain to the German army during the First World War. And in the years following, he supported a vibrant place for Jews in a new Germany. But of course, the hope was dashed, considering when he was living, the rise of Nazism pushed out that hope out of anyone's heart. He was deported, but still worked tirelessly to work as a leader in the German Jewish community. After the war, however, he found himself in London and stayed there because he was somewhat disillusioned. So the rest of his life was spent there, but was involved in setting up the Leo Baeck Institutes. The next book is this is in our backlist. It's a collection by Jeffrey Hartman, who's a noted scholar of Wordsworth, or was it first, and he was a founding figure of the Yale School of Literary Theory, and he co-founded the Fortune Video Archive for Holocaust Testimonies. He was born in Frankfurt, Germany. He was placed in the Kindertransport in 1939 and came to the United States in 1945. It was only when he was a mature adult, though, that he began to re-engage with his sense of a Jewish identity and to write from that position. Now very much he's an elder statesman, and he takes a look at what he calls the third pillar, and that is Judaic studies, Judaic religious tradition, and how that should be given just as much importance in Western world and Western tradition as Christian ones. This is a book, this book is a book in anthropology, actually, Conscientious Objectors in Israel. This is based on long-term field work, and it chronicles chronicles the personal experiences of two generations of Jewish conscientious objectors as they grapple with the pressure of justifying their actions to the Israeli state and society. They often suffer severe social and legal consequences. And the last,
1 minute, please.
last is A Work in Politics, Paradigm Lost. It argues that negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians will not lead to two states for two peoples, nor to a single democratic state for both. So this is an argument for abandoning the peace process merry-go-round, as he called it, and instead democratizing the one-state reality. I'm going to make it on time. Any questions or more information? Here's my contact information. That's also on our site. And I hope to hear more from you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. Drive safely. And remember,
you.
all the information about all of our vendors, even those who aren't here today, are under the sponsors and exhibits tab within Socio, on the right side there. So thank you. And next up, now we'll go back to the top of the alphabet, Academic Studies Press, Matthew Charlton.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Share my
Spotlight over to Matt.
All
Yep.
right. Hi. Yeah. My name is Matthew Charlton. I am the Director of Sales, Marketing, and Open Access at Academic Studies Press. Thank you to the AJL and Jackie for giving us the opportunity to present. If you haven't heard of ASP before, we are a small independent publisher based in Boston, Massachusetts, publishing the humanities and social sciences, and we have a special focus on Jewish studies and Russian and European studies. Since our founding in 2008, we have accumulated a backlist of about 450 backlist titles. And the vast majority of those tend to be in Jewish studies. So that's everything from anti-Semitism studies, Holocaust studies, history, biography, Israeli studies, philosophy, really a vast and interdisciplinary list. We are small, but we publish about 60 new titles annually. So we are constantly uploading or upgrading our catalog, constantly changing. Look at that on our website. We also have a pretty robust open access program called ASP Open, and that currently has over 75 titles that are freely available to read and download. So also that. And we publish 4 journals as well. 3 of those are specifically dealing with topics. I just wanted to quickly go over a handful of titles here that we've recently published. You can kind of get an idea of how diverse our catalog is. The first one here, if you can still see my screen, is Sephardi Cooking the History, Recipes of the Jews of Spain and the Diaspora from the 13th century to today. This is a really visually heavy cookbook that provides recipes for foods that are generally associated with Sephardic diaspora. It also includes some updated modern recipes from the author and chef as well. And that just came out this month, and it's already one of our best sellers. Second title here is When Rabbis Bless Congress, The Great American Story of Jewish Prayers on Capitol Hill. This is actually by C-SPAN Communications Director Howard Mortman. It's really a great combination of American history and Jewish history. It's specifically about all the rabbis that prayed in the US Congress and the Senate and the House of Representatives since the Civil War. And I'm not sure if you can see this on my screen as well, but we also have a dedicated website to this book, whenrabbisblesscongress.com. It has an entire resources section as well that the author has helped us put together. Why
don't you drop that in the chat when you're done?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And it says great video resources. Howard's actually put together some playlist of every single rabbi that has prayed in Congress and the congressional sponsor as well. That's been available. Video has been available through C-SPAN. And Howard's actually really active presentations as well. So if your library or synagogue is interested in having like a really specific geared presentation by Howard for related to rabbis for your synagogue, perhaps, or rabbis from your state. He puts together a really great presentation. And jumping back to the slideshow, another title, this is the New Jewish Canon, Ideas and Debates, 1980 to 2015. This provides over 80 excerpts from key primary source texts in contemporary Jewish studies, insightful corresponding essays by leading scholars on topics of history and memory, Jewish politics, religion, and identities in communities. He was also a finalist of the 2020 National Jewish Book Award for Modern Jewish Thought and Experience. And the last title here, this is the catalog of Gerald K. Stone, Collection of Judaica. This was actually the winner of this year's AJL Judaica Bibliography Award. And shout out to Eric Klein for supporting that award as well. And this is a volume that has a descriptive catalog of his Judaica collection, comprising nearly 6,000 paper or electronic documentary resources in English, French, Yiddish, and Hebrew. And real quickly here, our journals that are related to Jewish studies. We have Studies in Judaism, Humanities, and Social Sciences, edited by Simcha Fishbane and Eric Levine at Touro College. This is published annually. It's typically a themed issue. We also have the Journal of Contemporary Anti-Semitism. This is published twice a year. It's actually on volume 4.1, spring 2021 now. And this is by Leslie Claff and Daniel Allington. We're also providing a free trial, a 3-month trial to any of the AJL members, which I'll show you how to access in just a moment.
You have 1 minute.
All right. And all titles are available in print and digital formats, digitally from basically all of the library suppliers, ProQuest, EBSCO. We also have a partnership with DeGruyter Online print, available directly from ASP or our distributor Ingram or Gobi. All of our journals are available through DeGruyter as well in packages or on their own. And all of our open access titles are available through any of the repositories like DOAB and OAPen. We are providing a 30% off discounts till July 31st for all AJL members. You can just use the code AJL 2021. We also have a dedicated website that we put together for the conference. It is academicstudiespress.com, AJL 2021. And you can go there, you can see all the latest books we've published. Also toward the bottom here, you'll see where you can get the free subscription to ACA. Also, we have a survey you can fill out where you can enter to view for a gift certificate to bookshop.org. So yeah, that's everything.
Thank you so very much, Matthew. And please put the links into the chat. You can continue to do that.
Cool.
After
Thank you very much.
Move on, we're going to call on Elizabeth Trucci from Associated Book Exhibits. You need to stop your screen share, Matthew, please.
Yeah. Alrighty, can everybody see my screen okay?
Not quite yet. There it comes. There, you got it.
Great. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Elizabeth Trucci. I'm the Marketing and Social Media Director at Association Book Exhibit. ABE, we come to AJL as often as possible, so we're super excited to be attending again this year. And to kick it off, I just wanted to kind of give you some background. Who is ABE? ABE is a small family-run business, now with the 3rd generation involved. We've been representing leading publishers at conferences around the country in all topic areas for the past 40 plus years, presenting at over 2,500 successful exhibits. Each exhibit providing publishers with their own mini display within the overall setup, and thinking most publishers think of us as an extension of their marketing plan, and it's just a lower cost to them to get representation at more conferences throughout the year. And then most of you know my dad, Mark Trucci, who you can see a fun dated photo there. And then for AJL this year, we are representing ABC Clio, Academic Studies Press, Anaphora Literary Press, Lexington Books, McFarland, Regnery Publishing, Nahora Press, Simon & Schuster, and Starbright Books, with speaker titles from Academic Studies Press, Anaphora Literary Press, Lexington Books, McFarland, and Starbright Books. Our catalog and the link to our landing page, I'll put in the comments after the presentation. And you can see here that I've included some of the discount codes that certain publishers have offered. We always encourage them to offer the lowest prices to our conference attendees.
That's true.
So here we have two complimentary titles that we have on display, Unstoppable and The Unanswered Letter. You can find these also linked on our landing page, where we will have the link so that you can fill out the publisher's form to receive these one or both titles, whatever you're interested in. And then just some fun updates on ABE. In general, we've done a lot over the past year, including updating how we put out our announcement emails to everybody, our registration process, and we even updated our website. So hopefully it's a lot more user-friendly to everybody, and a little easier and more fun to look at. So do keep an eye out for emails from us, as we do have some fun things coming down the pipe stem that we will be releasing to publishers and everybody else in not too long. So we're getting pretty excited about that. And then that's about all I have. We're pretty short and sweet over here. So thank you for sticking with me through the presentation. I hope you guys found it informative. And please don't forget to check out our website and follow us on social media to keep up to date with what we're doing and where we are. So thank you again, and have a good evening, everybody.
Okay, well, thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you. When they say multi-generational, she was with us in Las Vegas at the conference. So, yes. All right, so if you stop your screen share, we're going to call on, I believe, Raphael Chaikin is going to present. I'm not sure both Raphael and Raquel are here. Which of you is presenting? Thank you.
I'm here. So we're all set.
Good.
So thank you for having me. My name is Raphael Chaikin. I'm the director of CCAR Press. For those who might not know, CCAR Press is a division of the Central Conference of American Rabbis, and we're the primary publisher for the Reform movement. We publish the Reform biblical and liturgical works, as well as contemporary books on different Jewish topics. And today I wanted to give you a sample of some of our recent books from the last year or so. I'll begin with our major new title for 2021, which was Mishkan HaSeder, which is our latest flagship Haggadah. It uses the same format as our Siddur Mishkan Tefillah and our Machzor Mishkan HaNefesh, with commentary, translation, and many readings of poetry are featured, and as also full color art from the Jewish artist Toby Kahn. We have a couple of recent award winners I'd like to tell you about. The Musar Torah commentary was a finalist for this year's National Jewish Book Award in the Contemporary Life category. It has one chapter on each parsha and uses the parshiot to teach lessons in personal development from a Musar perspective. Our other recent award winner was Inscribed: Encounters with the Ten Commandments, edited by Rabbi Oren Hayon. It won silver medal in the religion category at the Independent Publisher Book Awards. This book features several chapters on each of the 10 commandments, providing a perspective of today on these timeless words. Since it's Pride Month, I'll draw your attention to another recent book of ours, Mishkan Ga'ava, Where Pride Dwells, a celebration of LGBTQ Jewish life and ritual. This has prayers and readings about LGBTQ topics, great for Pride services or people studying LGBTQ community. It's edited by Rabbi Denise Egger, who's the first openly gay president of the CCAR. On the more academic side, we came out with Understanding Covenants and Communities, Jews and Latter-day Saints in Dialogue. This book came out of the Jewish Latter-day Saint Academic Dialogue Project, which was done between Brigham Young University and Loyola Marymount in California. And it contains chapters by both Jews and members of the Latter-day Saint community addressing similarities and differences. And we believe it's the first collaboration between a Jewish and Latter-day Saint publisher. We co-published it with BYU. The mission of CCR Press extends outside of the Reform world, even though we are affiliated with the Reform movement. One of our authors, Rabbi Dr. Shmuley Yanklowitz, is a modern Orthodox rabbi who is very engaged in social justice topics. He has published 2 commentaries with us with a social justice theme, the first on Pirkei Avot and the second on the book of Jonah, and a third book of his on the book of Proverbs is forthcoming. The final book I'll tell you about, we've published a 3rd edition of B'chol Levavcha, With All Your Heart, which is Harvey Field's classic Reform commentary on the Siddur. This takes a look at the full liturgy and is updated to reflect the current Reform Siddur Mishkan Tefillah. Now, almost all of our authors are available to be speakers, scholars in residence, lecturers. So please reach out to us if you're looking for people to do events. I want to make sure you know about our Safer plan. This is a program where you can automatically receive new CCR Press books upon publication, and you receive a 30% discount on books through the program. So it's ideal for libraries. You can find out more information on any of these books at our website, ccrpress.org. And if you want to reach out to me by email, I'll put that in the chat. Happy to arrange a personal conversation in the networking lounge. So that's it. Thanks for having me.
Perfect timing. Once again, thank you very much. All right, and now let's move down to, I don't see Dan Wyman or Eric Heim-Klein here. So we're going to the intergalactic Afikoman. Brianna, you're on.
Shalom, I'm Brianna Kaplan-Sayers, and I'm the founder of Intergalactic Afikoman, a new publisher of Jewish children's books. At Intergalactic Afikoman, we dream of a world filled with Jewish fantasy, zany children's books, and Jewish creativity. Now for a peek at our upcoming books. Bubby and Bart's Matzo Ball Mayhem, a Jewish tall tale by Bonnie Grubman and illustrated by Deborah Melman. Bubby and our puppy Bart are busy getting ready for Shabbat. But Bart wants matzo balls instead of liver treats. Soon, matzo balls start flying. Then they take out their baseball gear. They even become magicians. But this is also a counting book, so finally the kitchen hushed and the matzo balls stayed still. Bart curled up in his cozy spot beneath the windowsill. Now simmering in the soup pot were 7 balls, you guessed, floating oh so peacefully like the 7th day of rest. And this fantastic wordless spread where Bubby and Bart get ready for their guests, Bart growling at the vacuum cleaner, Bubby giving him a bath, and finally both Bubby and Bart looking so very wonderful in their Shabbat clothes. Next, I Am Hava by Frida Lefkowitz and illustrated by Siona Benjamin. Siona is an acclaimed Indian-American Jewish artist, and this is her debut picture book. This is the story of Hava Nagila told by the song herself. Hava is personified as a young Indian Jewish girl dressed in a beautiful sari. She has blue skin like many of Siona's characters to show she belongs everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I was born a nigun, a melody without words. I spread hope and joy even in times of trouble. That was my mitzvah. And we see Hava's journey from Ukraine to Israel. Eventually she meets Hora and they dance across the ocean together. Here are Hava and Hora as Ali Raceman wins the gold to Hava's melody at the Olympics. Finally, just a tiny peek at sketches for Lily Blue Riding Hood by Sandy Lanton and illustrated by Kimberly Barnes. Lily is a skateboarding Little Blue Riding Hood who is bringing her Hamantaschen to Granny's. At Intergalactic Afikomen, we dream of a world filled with mighty Jewish girls. Finally, Misunderstood, the magical librarian from Such a Library, illustrated by Esther Vandenberg, reminds us librarians are magical, which is our special discount code for AJL attendees, as you can see in the notes, and please check out on our page. And our earlier published books, just to give you, if you just are getting to know Intergalactic Afikomen for the first time, DIJ, Do It Jewish, Use Your Jewish Creativity by former Sidney Taylor Chair and award-winning Jewish kidlit author Barbara Beetz, with magical illustrations by Daria Grinovich. And one of those illustrations is actually a prize being given away at this conference. Such a Library that we're thrilled just won a Forward Indie Award. And Asteroid Goldberg, Passover in Outer Space, that we're honored was included by Marjorie Engel in her Best Jewish Children's Books for 2020. And just to let you know, our authors are amazing at giving school and library author visits. And I'm also very happy to speak to anybody at the vendor lounge or at any time. Please reach out. Toda rabah. Thank you so very much.
That was amazing. Thank you. And again, on time. I appreciate that. So moving on, yet more children's books. I'm having so much fun. Joni from Carbon. And you need to stop sharing, Brianna, first, please.
Oh, I thought I did. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. This is informal.
No, I apologize. It doesn't say that I'm still sharing. Though that backdrop is just behind. That's my back screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had that from before. I figured out how to do fancy Canva backgrounds.
Good for you. Better than I. Yeah. All right. So, Joni, I know you're here. Joni, unmute yourself.
Yep. There we go.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am Joni Sussman. I am the publisher at Carbon Publishing. I know many of you from many years of the Association of Jewish Libraries, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in person next year in Philadelphia. Yay. So for those of you not familiar with Carbon, we are publishers of Jewish children's books. We do about 25 new titles a year. We've been around for almost 50 years. We have wonderful books that I think many of you are already familiar with, including many Sidney Taylor Award winners, of which we are extremely proud. And we always talk about that when we show our books in other venues as well. And I thought I would just take a few minutes to tell you about our new books that are coming up for this fall. We have a number of new titles. They will be available as of August 1st, most of them. And so I think I'm just going to hold up a little bits of my catalog. By the way, our catalog is available online. If you go to our website at carbon.com, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's our online catalog, and you will be able to see all of the new books we have coming up. So I'm just going to show, I don't know if you can even really see this. Maybe I'll just talk about the books. The first one is called Something New for Rosh Hashanah. It's by Jane Yolen, illustrated by Christine Batuz. And this is a really cute story in rhyme by Jane Yolen, whom we all know and love, about a little girl who doesn't want to try anything new. She hates new foods. She doesn't want to try anything new. And her parents are insisting that she should try new things. They're trying new things. Dad is growing a mustache. Mom is learning to knit. New things are good, especially when it comes time for Rosh Hashanah. And eventually she eats one green bean. It's a very, very cute story. And it talks about the importance of new things around Rosh Hashanah. Very cute story. The next one is called Rosh Hashanah with Uncle Max. And this is by the author illustrator Varda Livni. And in this very cute 24-page board book, Uncle Max comes to visit to celebrate Rosh Hashanah, which is the birthday of the year. And it's a very cute story with very, very cute illustrations. And the board book format, of course, is really nice for little ones. We have another Rosh Hashanah board book, which is called Happy Roo Year, It's Rosh Hashanah. And in this one, we have a family of kangaroos that is observing Rosh Hashanah. Any of you who are familiar with our previous book, Alligator Seder, where alligators were celebrating Pesach, in this case, we have kangaroos celebrating Rosh Hashanah. Very cute. It's a board book, and they go through all of the traditions and rituals of Rosh Hashanah. For Hanukkah, we have a couple of things coming up. The first one is called The Three Latkes, which is a very droll and cute story by Eric A. Kimmel, whom we all know and love. And in this story, we have three latkes, one made out of white potatoes, one made out of gold potatoes, one made out of red potatoes, and they all say that they are the best. How are they going to figure out who the best is? The judge is going to be the cat. So you can imagine what happens. They are all eager to have the cat taste them. And of course, he tastes them, eats them all up. 1, 2, 3. And who is the best latke? Only the cat knows. Another book that we have for Hanukkah is called Hello Hanukkah. And this is written and illustrated by Susan Novich. It's a really beautiful book, and it's especially cool. It's a counting book where each night we have a badger who is lighting the Hanukkah candles and learning to count as he goes. And the art is done in cutout felt. It's very cool. I would encourage you to go to our website and have a look. And again, it's called Hello Hanukkah. We have another book called Klezmer, which is a wonderful book. This is the story of klezmer music and how it made its way from Eastern Europe to the United States and became klezmer here as it wound up getting involved with American jazz and other kinds of music genres, but still retained its Yiddish feeling. And even though it went out of popularity for a number of years, as we all know, it's very popular again today. Again, the book is called Klezmer, and it is by Kira Tice.
Okay. 1 minute, please.
1 minute. Okay, I'm just going to list the others very quickly. We have one called A Bear for Bimmy, which is by Jane Breskin Zalbin, and it is an immigration story, a beautiful story about a family that comes to the United States and wants to integrate into America. We have one called The Rabbi and the Reverend, which is the story of Joachim Prince, Martin Luther King Jr., and their fight against silence. Very timely and wonderful for that. We have a story called Hannah G. Solomon Dared to Make a Difference. She is the woman who started the National Council of Jewish Women. It's a great story about a woman who not only dared to be different, but really made a huge impact on the world. I think I'll stop there just so that I don't run out of time. I appreciate all of you coming to listen, and I look forward to seeing you all in person next year. Go to www.carbon.com where you can see all of our new books. And we do have a discount for librarians. Thank you.
Okay. That is so wonderful. And thank you for all your years of support of AJL. And, I know I'm oohing and ahhing over the children's books more than I did over the academic, but on Monday, that's where I really am. I could be a grandma. Okay. So now we're going to call on Harry Chan to talk about a software program to keep your library in order. Catalog out there. Harry, yep, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to share my screen.
I'll wait till you do.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me. And I was watching people come into the session this afternoon, and I recognized a few names. Welcome to Harvey and Marga and Susan and Joyce. And I'm glad to see you. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to see you in person next year at Philadelphia. This Opals is a library automation system. It has been, it was developed in the early 2000s. We actually are a company with a long history of serving libraries. We started about 50 years ago when we used to manufacture card catalog cabinets, and we used to sell millions of card catalog cards a year. However, we started developing software in the mid-'80s, and we developed and released Opals, which is an open source system, at the beginning, around 2001, 2002. And some of our earliest adopters were Jewish libraries. So we are delighted to be here today. I think, Joyce, you were one of the ones who introduced us to AJL, and one of the many. And we're delighted that we have this great relationship with you. For those of you who know us, I'm just going to give you a quick review of some of the things that we have done. And I think those of you who don't know us, and it'll give you a bit of insight into the kind of community we are and what we can do. Opals is an open source system, so we take our direction from the community in terms of its development. And this past year, since actually more than a year, since last March, the pandemic has driven us to, and librarians to adapt to these rather unusual circumstances. So many of the developments we released and developed this fall, this winter and early spring are related to some of those changes. If you're a school library, for example, many of your schools probably use Google Classroom or one of the other single sign-on strategies that is out there. And one of the things that we managed to do in working with Google and others is to implement their single sign-on strategies. So this became important because with the hybrid learning and sometimes and often remote learning, parents and students, there was still a high demand for printed books. Remarkably, we do manage ebooks and digital information, and that's highly used, but books remain very popular, and there was a lot of lobbying on the part of parents for their children to be able to have access to books. So part of that was to enable folks to easily do self-service reserve requests, and for librarians to manage those self-service requests and deliver those items either by curbside delivery or in classrooms, because students were just not able to come to the libraries anymore. So we were able to develop, first of all, we made it so easy that even K3 students can log in and can also place their reserve requests that librarians can then manage. We've also, and I'll illustrate this a little later, attached Google extensions, because in many schools, there's a lot of one-to-one computing that leapfrogged. Almost every student has a Chromebook in most schools, in many schools now. And so what we did is we developed a way for students when they are searching and doing free swim searching on Google for the library results for those searches to display on the top of the screen. So that's another way of insinuating the library into being wherever the students are, whether they're on Google or whether they're on their cell phones or tablets or classrooms, they can see the library, and we've made that easier to do. Many librarians have equated self-service library reserve requests to online shopping without a credit card. And in fact, we were delighted to see how easily students adapted to it, even little kids. We have a little children's K3 interface, and all they have to do is use their Google Classroom login, and the system pops up. They can select a book and click on reserve, and that request is sent to the librarian. And we have a more advanced version for the high school students and college students as well. However, this requires a lot of detailed management and notifications. So the system notifies the librarian when there are these reserve requests. And I can't go into a lot of detail here, but there's a very granular approach to discovering the requests, in activating them, in creating holds, and gathering those holds together, and creating and in notifying students and teachers that the reserves are ready by email, and so on. And these messages have been dressed up so that they include thumbnails, so they're not boring looking when you receive them in your email file. Opal's also has introduced thumbnails to just about all of the communications, whether they're overdue notices, confirmations and receipts of transactions that have been done. We also have lists and that can be created, topical lists that can be created and emailed and communicated. We also have ways of managing. One of the things we did in this situation was we have a way to manage COVID loss status. So there's going to be a lot of COVID recovery funds. And so librarians can now identify the hundreds, especially elementary school librarians, of items that were never returned and won't come back as losses that can then be submitted for grants. Actually, many Lions clubs and various organizations, PTAs, have offered to even fund this even before the COVID-19 recovery resources are going to become available. We've also got a way to manage quarantines for parents who are concerned that books might have some residue on them, there's a way for the system to manage that quarantine process properly. We've also greatly developed the mobile device app. It's free, it's part of the system. And so if a student is using a portable device or a tablet, these conform and respond beautifully to those devices and display that information beautifully. And for the librarian who likes to be able to check out books no matter where they are, even if they're 300 feet away from the checkout desk, you can actually use your cell phone to do that now as well. So there's a lot of new things that we developed. Advanced booking is one of the things that we have developed. Again, teachers and students, knowing they have an assignment or a project to assign students in the future, can ask to have a collection of books reserved several weeks ahead of time. So the librarian isn't running around the day before when the panicked teacher comes into the library and asks for those items. And so there's a proper advanced booking module. And libraries have become more and more involved with STEM kits and projects and equipment that needs to be managed. And we now have a module to do that and to do.
Okay. Harry, 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll just go to a few sites to show what has been done by some of the libraries. Opals comes with a portal widgets that allow you to have a great presence on the internet. And we have sites that have thousands of visits because they have these very relevant portal sites. You do not have to buy a third-party software to do this, and we can train you on doing this. Here's another day school library that has set up various tabs and offers many services. This actually, I put up Park Avenue Synagogue, Margaret, because Margaret was very instrumental in getting us to include Elazar classification. And so we've, and actually when we did it, we didn't get all of the classifications in, but we now do have them in. You'll be glad to see. And this is kind of an overview of some of those items. This also is an illustration of how when we search Google for Israel architecture, the Google extensions will work and this Hebrew College will also inject the resources that are available in Hebrew College Library into a Google search. And this connects directly with their site so that if I were browsing that topic, I could actually look at the detail of that record by clicking on it right from within Google and get to their library and reserve the item if I was allowed to do advanced booking. I mean, rather self-service reservations. So we provide, just to close up, we provide free training and for all of our existing clients, and we offer free training to all those that would wish to join us. And we invite you to visit our website, which is opalsinfo.net, and communicate with us, and we'll be happy to work with you. Thank you all for those of you who do work with us, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being such a longtime supporter of AJL and our member libraries.
Oh, it's an honor. Now I have to stop sharing, right?
Correct. At the top, you should see a red stop share. Thank you. So good to see at least partially. All right, now my apologies, because sometimes I write Opals Media Flex and sometimes I write Media Flex Opals on my list. So now Moment Magazine is also here to present Debbie San. Debbie, saw you before.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi. So I am here for Moment Magazine. Just by a quick show of hands, how many of you are familiar with us? Great. Okay. Super. I was going to kind of start by a quick introduction of us, but it looks like we speak for ourselves, right? So here we go. I am going to start sharing the screen here. And let's see. There we go. And actually, I'm going to go here. So I was going to start by telling you a little bit about Moment. We were founded about 45 years ago by Elie Wiesel and Leonard Fine. And we cover Jewish politics, religion, and culture, and topics of all interest to Jews, to the Jewish community today. We recently entered the publishing world about just about 2 years ago, Our first book was about Elie Wiesel, our founder. He was Nadine Epstein's mentor and truly an inspiration to the world. The book is not a biography in the kind of sense of the word, but it really is a collection of memories and interviews by people that have known him and people who he's inspired. We've interviewed people from all over who talked about the impacts that he's had and all the things that he's done. It is a collection of 36 beautiful photographs, and it has his speeches, and it really kind of tells the story and is truly inspirational. And then our next book is our favorite book, and we love the title, Can Robots Be Jewish? And Other Pressing Questions of Modern Jewish Life. And this book is written by Amy Schwartz, and this book is a collection of one of my favorite columns. It's our Ask the Rabbi column. And our Ask the Rabbi column is something that really encapsulates what makes Moment unique. It's one question, and then it is answered by rabbis across the spectrum of beliefs and perspectives. It is the only place where you will see one question answered by rabbis from the independent all the way to humanist, all the way through conservative, reform, modern Orthodox, and Sephardic. And here's kind of an example of how it works. You've got this one question, and then it's not Moment editorializing the answer, it's really in their own words. And so the book is a collection of kind of our favorite stories and our favorite questions. And each question is interesting and tells a perspective that is truly unique. Some of them are kind of funny, like Can Robots Be Jewish? And Other Questions of Modern Life. And this question we really do love, and it kind of talks about what would make, what is the essence of Jewishness? And then it goes to other questions of, should the Jewish community celebrate Halloween? And it's one of these kind of really interesting things. And we always talk about, how sometimes you get the same answers, but the responses are different. And sometimes it surprises you and sometimes it doesn't. But it's one of these books that can really, spark discussion and debate, and really is engaging and intriguing. And as I said, I hate to be biased, but my favorite part of Moment. And then our next book here, this is another of our this is another of my favorite books. This one we did with Bob Mankoff, and it's Have I Got a Cartoon for You? The Moment Magazine book of Jewish cartoons. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with Bob Mankoff. He was the cartoon editor for The New Yorker, and he's just hilarious, I have to say. Every page is just funnier than the one before. And so it really is just a collection of Jewish cartoons that will all make you laugh and smile as you go through it. So I highly recommend it. It's great if you just need kind of a break from a break from your life, and it's also great for a gift. So that's something that everybody should know about. Our next book here, and all of our books, one of the things about our books is that, we are really a magazine, and we have about 6 titles, and all of them are near and dear to our hearts. We're not writing about, our books are not, kind of random things. They're all things that have really, really touched us and moved us and are part of our core. So this book is City of Light, and this is a story that was told by Theodore Bickel about his life when he was in Austria, and when the Nazis came in and occupied his hometown. And it tells the story of his escape from Austria. And it is just a moving, inspirational story. It's illustrated. And so it's really, the story is told, there's some text, but it's really illustrated. And he talks about,
1 minute, please.
And he talks about how, what it was like for him to come back and for him to refine his home. And so it was started by Theodore Bickel, and it was finished by his widow, Amy. And again, it's one of these books that are great for a moment of inspiration in your life, as well as, they're great gifts as well. And then our new book is actually not out yet. So I'm going to show you, it's coming out in the fall. And RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Nadine Epstein had really a very, again, one of these unique mentorship relationships. They they worked together and they partnered together. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was really an inspiration to Nadine, and a powerful force. And so when they wrote this book was actually thought up, was thought of by or conceived by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And in writing the book, it's a great book for people of all genders. We like to say from ages 10 to 120. Justice Ginsburg wrote the introduction, and it's the true star of the book. There is a chapter devoted to her life and why she matters to the world. Her story and those of the women who tell her story on the evolution of women's rights in the Jewish world and beyond. The book includes a call to action that presents what needs to be done to still achieve equality. And then they picked 33, that's why it's called Brave and Brilliant Women. And they picked 33 of these brave and brilliant Jewish women throughout the course of time and write about why they're inspirational. And so that one will be out in the fall. And, Nadine will be, talking about it and promoting it. But again, it's all of our books have kind of an inspiration and a really deep, deep meaning for us.
And I thank you so much, Debbie, for all those wonderful titles. And truly, Moment does have a call to action. They don't want you just to read, they want you to do.
That's right. And we have for the exclusive offer for our AJL members, we have a subscription, and our Good Karma book is, this is an ebook, and we have a fiction contest every year, and we also encourage you, if you know anybody who would like to enter it, it is a fiction contest, and we have really well-respected and well-renowned judges who judge it, and they pick the fiction story of the year, and it's really, again, one of these kind of meaningful in different ways. And so we'd love to offer the AJL members an exclusive offer. It's a great deal, a subscription and the Good Karma book for $15.95. And so typically our magazine subscription is $19.95, and Good Karma book is another $10. So this is a great offer, and so we're so grateful to the AJL for our partnership. I will put this link in the chat as soon as we're done. But I do encourage everybody get a Moment subscription. Oh, time's up. Okay, get a Moment.
It's more than up, and we need, because we still have 2 more wonderful organizations to call on. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now we're on to the Posen Library of Jewish Culture and Civilization. All right, so Pamela.
Good evening, or still good afternoon for some of you AJL librarians. I want to thank the hosts and the organizers of the conference, and I'm glad to be attending this year. My name is Pamela Turner. I began working with libraries on Judaic title selection over 40 years ago. I was an independent bookseller in Cleveland, Ohio, where I am. And I scouted for Jewish themed material for Reform and conservative congregation libraries, as well as rabbinical staff. And 20 years later, I was working with both Overdrive and then Ingram to offer ebook and e-audio content, as well as hosted services for libraries, public libraries, school libraries. 2 years ago, I began a really exciting project marketing the Posen Library, which is a landmark resource for instructors, scholars, general researchers, and anyone interested in Jewish cultural history. The Posen Library of Jewish Culture and Civilization has donated 2 prize copies of its most recent volume, volume number 1. However, it is not the first volume. The first volume that was published about 12 years ago was volume 10. And the reason for that is that the Posen Library content is based on at least 12 different languages. And so it takes many years to translate a lot of the material. The volume that was just published, volume 1, covers a period that witnessed the initial development of many phenomena that would come to define Jewish culture and civilization. The Hebrew language, its alphabet, the Israelite and Jewish law and religion, in particular monotheism, and the books of the Hebrew Bible. Our publishing partner is Yale University Press, who currently sells 5 of the eventual 10 illustrated volumes. Each volume covers a different crucial period in Jewish history. The animating idea behind the project is to demonstrate the incredible richness, the complexity, and the diversity of Jewish culture from biblical times to the present. More than 120 internationally recognized scholars have been involved with the series, making it the most ambitious anthology ever attempted by Jewish studies scholars. I'm going to hold up volume 9. It's weighty. It's over 1,000 pages. This is a photo of Ben Gurion in 1957, Paul Goldman's well-known black and white photograph of him exercising on Herzliya Beach. This book was published last fall. Volume 9 is subtitled Catastrophe and Rebirth. And you might have guessed it covers the years 1939 to 1973 and the Yom Kippur War. The entire series spotlights the intellectual contributions made by the Jewish people. It also aids any researcher in understanding Jewish assimilation into the general population of the diaspora. It has a searchable accompanying database, the PDL, or the Posen Digital Library, which is available free to anybody with a one-time registration at www.posenlibrary.com. The expansion of the online PDL, as we call it, over the next years will provide a vast archive of documents and material for registered users to discover, to read, to annotate, to share. I am an active genealogist and family historian, and I discover so many valuable articles about ancestral communities, geographically searching, or artists or writers who provide a lot of flavor to my understanding of these past lives. There are 3 ways that this publishing project contributes to the understanding of the Jewish experience. Number 1, bringing together both religious and secular elements of Jewish culture into one rich, broad library. 2, it offers primary source texts translated to English from, as I indicated, over a dozen languages, then translated by top scholars into English. And each volume puts in context the impact that that period had on the Jews and how the Jews impacted that era. So no prior religious instruction is necessary to benefit from the expert curatorial staff's compilations. Jews, non-Jews will find recognition and enlightenment in the material. By honoring their religious ethical practices, creativity, and talent, Jewish creators have made impressive contributions to the societies in which they lived. The books are published by Yale University Press, and they're available through all the national and international distributors. And I might also put in a commercial for the Posen YouTube channel, which has some great recordings of a lot of the material that was illustrated in events with the editors.
Okay.
And
I thank you so much, Pamela. Why don't you drop that link into the chat?
I will
If you have
do
like 1 or 2 more comments.
that. Okay,
Thank you, because we have 1 more presenter. Okay.
that's it. Thank you.
All right. Be sure to drop in the link, though. Thank you.
Oh.
And thank you so much for putting out such a comprehensive resource. All right. So last but certainly not least, Project Muse. Abe, I know you want to share your screen. So
there we go. And I'll open it up. Can everyone see it?
yeah.
Okay, great. So what is Project Muse? We're an online platform for research, content in the humanities and social sciences, currently home to some 700 scholarly journals and over 70,000 academic books, all published by distinguished university presses, scholarly societies, and related not-for-profit publishers. We are based at Johns Hopkins University Press, where we began 25 years ago as a joint project of the press and university libraries at Johns Hopkins. The way it works is libraries can subscribe to journals or purchase books from Muse and provide access to all their users affiliated with their school or organization. I know that there are some high school libraries in the audience, and we have a very special discount for libraries that are high school libraries for students working on term papers, et cetera. We work only with nonprofit publishers, and a vast majority of the fees we collect from libraries go directly back to those publishers, helping to sustain university-based non-commercial scholarly publishing. And we also support open access publishing. We have over 3,000 open access books, which I'll touch on in a little bit. We have a very broad range of subject areas in the humanities and social sciences. But I'm sure that at this point, for this audience, you're very interested in our Jewish studies area. So let me talk a little bit about journals. We offer current journals from several reputable publishers across a variety of subdisciplines. And what you'll see in the next few slides is just a sampling of some of those journals. For many of these journals, in addition to current content, we have many years of back files available. In fact, some journals we provide online access to all volumes ever published. Here's just a few more. One of the great strengths of Muse is that we have a broad interdisciplinary nature of the content. I know that in Jewish studies, scholars are studying all aspects of it, from cultures and historical periods, and the breadth and depth of our content and material can be a very great benefit in seeing the bigger picture. Here are just a few more. We also have books on Muse. We've online access to books from over 200 scholarly publishing houses, including several who were with well-known titles. Just a sampling here of some of them. Also, again, the interdisciplinary nature of a lot of the content and a lot of the books. You can find a lot of useful resources well beyond those just singularly focused on Jewish studies. Let me jump to a section which I want to talk a little bit about, which is for instructors here. So we have a lot of content and resources very useful to faculty members or anyone looking for material on instruction and class use. In the for instructors section, you'll find helpful resources for those adapting also to a hybrid environment, and a special section here where you can find publications and an interactive brochure on Jewish studies. As I mentioned, we also have open access.
1 minute, please.
Okay. We also have open access content, which is over 3,000 books with that it's free and open for anyone. You don't have to be a subscriber or have any affiliation with a university library. Anyone can access it. And you can browse it right here through the browse and search for topics that you're interested in, or from the area here and filter out anything, just only content that you have access to. I talked a little bit about that. We also have an area for personalizing your library right on Muse. You don't even need an email address. You can create your own personal MyMuse account where you can have a library of your own to look at anytime that you want. And that's a little bit about Muse, and I'll put in the chat a link to a Jewish Studies flyer, as well as a link to a flyer that is for high schools. And if you have any questions, that's my email address, and I'll be in my booth tomorrow. So there you go.
Well, thank you very much, Abe, for showing us that there's a lot of open access materials that our libraries can take advantage of, and maybe then find more materials they would like to have. And I would like to open it up now. We have, like, I think 8-9 minutes till the end of the session. Does anyone have any questions for any one of the booksellers, programmers? Opening up. Did people find that this year was harder? One of my questions was it harder to work this year because of the pandemic, or did you find because everyone was looking for content online, they were just knocking down your doors? And children's books, I heard you couldn't keep them in stock. Any thoughts on that, anyone? No?
Joni, you're muted.
Yep, sorry about that. I can talk a little bit about children's books. It's been a pretty good year for children's books. Not only digital books, which schools were more interested in these days, teachers really were interested in doing things digitally in their classrooms, but actual hard copy books continue to sell really well for us. Parents still wanted to buy books for their kids. Even if their kids were home, they could order them, hopefully from their indie bookstores, but if not, on Amazon or from our website or elsewhere. So our children's book sales were solid.
Okay, and everyone should note here that we have 2 different aggregate booksellers in the Socio app, where you go to them and all the award winners are from both the RAS and SSCPL division are represented either with bookshop.org, which is online, or Associated Booksellers Book Exhibits, which has a booth in Networking Lounge. Yes, we kind of get with all these new terms. All right, any other questions from the audience? One more chance for the drawing for either the Posen Library Volume 1 or Star Trek Illustration.
Jackie, there's a question in the chat.
Okay. Is the JHU Muse the analog to Cornell's ARXV for math and science? Okay, that's a question for you.
Is the journal on Muse?
Is your site kind of like the parallel to what Cornell does for math and science?
I'm not sure where, I'm not familiar with that site, to be 100% honest. I guess if you've heard of JSTOR, we're similar to JSTOR. We have contemporary volumes as well as back files, though, of all of our content. And we're part of a university.
Yes.
I see another, excuse me, I see another question. Someone asked, does Opals allow for inclusion of open library links? Is Harry still here?
Yes, and the answer is yes.
That was easy. I guess that you make it easy for us. Thank you. Thank you, Janice, for covering all of the questions there in the chat. Any other questions? If not, I think we're all going to take a breather before we have either story hour or the discussion of the last cycles. So it's kind of going once. Any virtual hands going up? All right, well then I thank everyone for coming and supporting our vendors and our longtime sponsors of the conference. We appreciate everything they do for our libraries and for the Association of Jewish Libraries. And I look forward to seeing you live and in person a year from now in Philadelphia. Thank you. And have a nice, whatever time. Oh, wait, we have a question from a co-host. No, that's a hand. That's an applause. All right, so thank you to all our wonderful vendors, sponsors. We can't have a conference without you. Night, or goodbye, or good afternoon.